Good evening, Daf Ayin Amud Aleph, a few lines from the top. Ve'amri nahadrai. Nadrim used to say, Urkita de lokti be zil dun unzchi ve'apech nashech. A guy who was given power of attorney, and it didn't say, and it said, go take whatever you want, whatever you win is yours from what you could get from him. But Mishash doesn't work. My ta'ama, why? Mish mda'amar le ha'ach, la ba'ad v'limat. Right? Because the defendant can tell the power of attorney, he's like, who are you? I have nothing to do with you. What are you doing here? You're not my defendant. You're not my litigant. However, but if he told him that whatever you get, whatever you're able to get from this guy, I'll give you a percentage. Since you can, technically, you're giving power to the attorney for himself to acquire from himself, it's as if he's able to be litigant for everything. And if the agent wins and takes everything for himself, we don't take away from him. Once you wrote to the guy, called accept himself all expenses, make his shliach, and therefore he's able to he wouldn't since he's telling him I'll pay for all your expenses, he's not giving everything away. He actually wants to do percentage. When it's important to accept myself the expenses, it's a shutaf and not an owner. What's the difference in the two explanations? Limit pas palga, regarding to take half of it. According to the second way, where he said that you're a shutaf, you're a partner, he's able to keep half. But according to the first version, he can't keep anything if you're only a shliach. And therefore he can't keep any extras. Okay, new Mishnah. If someone was testified that he stole by two witnesses. Two witnesses came and said Reuben stole the animal. But and after he slaughtered or sold it, also by the same two witnesses. Or other two witnesses testified that he slaughtered it or sold it. He's able to pay 4 or 5. The Hidush is that even if two other witnesses besides the thieving ones, the theft witnesses can still require him. Ganav umachar b'Shabbat. The guy stole the ox or sheep and sold it on Shabbat. Ganav umachar l'abed zara, and sold it for abed zara. Ganav b'tavach Yom Kippurim. He stole the ox or sheep and slaughtered it on Yom Kippur. Ganav mishal aviv b'tavach umachar. He stole the ox from his father and slaughtered it or sold it. V'achkach met aviv. Then his father died. Ganav b'tavach v'achkach hitish. If he stole the ox or sheep and slaughtered it, then he made it hektish. In all these cases, paid 4 or 5. We're going to go through each one. Why? If he stole the ox and sold it for refuah, for the healing. All the time where he gave his food for his dog. If he slaughtered it and ended up being a terefa, non-kosher. If he slaughtered it, if it was a hektish animal. Sorry, if it was a chulin animal and he slaughtered it in the Bet HaMikdash, the courtyard. He still pays 4 or 5. We're going to go through it as well. Rabbi Shimon Poter, Bishne Elo, Rabbi Shimon says the last two cases of Terefa and Azara, you'd be Patur. Okay, let's see. Regarding the witnesses, let's say it's against Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, Ha'amar, he says, Davar v'lo hatzi davar. When you're testifying on something, the witnesses have to be testifying on it together and not half. Meaning you can't combine witnesses. The 10 of the Brisa says, Amar Rabbi says, when my father halafta went to Rabbi Yochanan to Torah, I'm not to say Rabbi Yochanan ben Nimri to Abba, Rabbi Yochanan ben went to his father halafta. Amar Allah told him, Bet Zainam Bet, Harei Shachna Shana Rishna Befnei Shnayim. In the Baba Batra, if a person wants to make a hazakah on someone else's property, he has to stay there and eat from the property for 3 years. And then it becomes his. Now they do quote squatting rights. So there has to be witnesses that he was there for 3 years. So let's say a guy who was there, first witness says he was there for 1 year. Second witness, set of witnesses say 2 years, second year. So she'd be finished, and the third set of witnesses say he was there for a 3rd year. Mahu, can you combine them to make a hazakah or not? Amar lo, he told him, Harezu hazakah works. Amar lo, he told him, Afani Amar, can I also say so? However, Rabbi Akiva says, no, it doesn't work. Rabbi Akiva used to say, Davar v'lo hatzi davar. You can only testify on something that's a complete matter, and you can't start splitting it up. So in our Mishnah, where we need 2 separate testimonies regarding the theft and the slaughtering or selling. The second case, where if you have two separate witnesses, then it shouldn't work, according to Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara says, no, maybe it is. Maybe Rabbi Akiva would work in our case. Why? Me, would Rabbi Akiva not agree? In regarding to a case, a lady who had note, if there was two witnesses that said that she's married, two of the witnesses said she had adultery. Even though technically, in order to make her chayav mitah, you need the edei bi'ah, the edei of the adultery, need the witnesses of the kiddushin. Meaning, they need the witnesses to say the previous testimony that this lady is a married lady. So even so, but since the testimony of the engagement was not be good enough without, would be okay without the edei, meaning when the witnesses testifying the marriage by themselves, that's a good testimony. I don't need the adultery, it's not connected. Therefore, davar karim debates considered it a complete matter. So too over here regarding the animal. Even though the slaughter eidim need the testimony of the theft in order for it to work, but since the witnesses of the theft don't need the slaughter witnesses to be a good testimony, meaning if they just testify that he stole it, it'll be okay. That's a separate matter, and therefore you're able to split the witnesses, which is not what we see by the case of the chazakah, because over there you need a 3-year chazakah. And therefore, by splitting it up, it's not a good split up. It's not considered a single matter. What does he do with that pasuk? It says you the davar, not a half a davar, not a half a matter, regarding splitting witnesses or testimonies. In the case where they're testifying regarding if a girl is considered an adult or not, right? So if two witnesses come and say, right, so how do we do testimony for whether or not the girl is an adult? Is if she has se'arot, she has hair. So let's say two witnesses come and say, I saw one hair on her back. Another witness says, so one witness says I saw one on the back, and one witness says one on the belly. That's not chatzi and chatzi, that's a half a testimony. Meaning if you have one witness, that doesn't count as a full testimony. So then that definitely doesn't work. So the Gemara says, rather, the case is teaching you, two witnesses say one on her back, two witnesses say I saw one hair on her belly. These witnesses that are saying that she's a minor, there's other witnesses also saying she's a minor. Meaning, in regarding to a half a testimony, this case is a half a matter, because each one's trying to testify on trying to make her an adult, but they're only bringing half a proof, meaning one hair and one hair. Okay. Next part of the Mishnah. Ganav machav shvat. Stole an animal and sold it on Shabbat. He pays 4 or 5. That's anybody. This is patur. You see, patur. What's how do you answer the contradiction? When you say patur, referring to the case where the buyer told us, the thief, cut off a fig from my fig tree, and then you'll acquire by the animal that you acquired will be acquired by me. So he's selling it to the guy by taking one of the guy's figs. And therefore, what's the difference? By cutting off the fig, he's chayav mitah. So once he's cutting off the fig, he's chayav mitah. We had it before. And you get the more severe penalty, which is death, and therefore he's patur in that case. But if the buyer would sue the thief before in court, meaning for the return of the fig or the sale, right? We'll of course tell the thief, go pay him. Because technically he's also chayav mitah. So therefore the sale is not a good sale, right? What does that mean? Since the taking of the fig doesn't make him doesn't count for anything, because he's already chayav mitah. So the whole sale went through from the beginning. Therefore, you can't be talking about that case, because that sale wasn't a sale to pay chayav 4 or 5. There's no hidush that you're not paying 4 or 5, because in that sale, the fact that he took the fig off also means the sale didn't go through, and if that's not a good proof. So therefore, we have to re-explain it. There's a different case. The guy tells him, throw what you stole into my courtyard. Good luck throwing your sheep or an ox, but let's say he did it. And then that which you acquired will be acquired by me. Meaning, you throw your sheep into my courtyard, and I'll acquire the sheep. Gemara says, one second, come on. Something that's in the airspace is as if it rested there. So when I'm throwing the sheep over and it passes over the fence into your property, even though it's airborne, it's already considered landed, which is already means I already was all there on the isur of passing it from one reshut to the next. However, as long as it passed into the airspace, he acquired it without landing. Regarding Shabbat, you wouldn't be chayav till it hits the ground. So there is no kimne b'dirav according to Chachamim, because even once it's airborne, you're koneh with airspace, but we don't look at it as if it already landed. So therefore, you wouldn't be chayav under the shoot. So therefore, it's two separate times. So you could still be chayav on both. Says, he could say, no, I only acquire it when it lands in my property. Throws me, and I'll acquire it when it lands in my property, and therefore, when it lands, you're aved on both, selling the item and additionally Shabbat, and therefore you be chayav and then patur from the money. Rav Amar Abbas did the case. Really, we explain the case like Rabbi Hamar regarding the figs case. So how do you explain it? We said the problem before. The famous concept. The Torah says that you're not bring. We had it before as well. If someone uses money to pay for services of his mouth, and you're not to use that money or animal that was used to bring for hektish, right? So the Torah said that it's a source to use it, which means that even if a guy gave the money to his mother to live with his mother, or an animal to live with his mother, it'd be asur. So the Gemara says, now in that case, if the mom would say, let's say the son didn't pay her. If let's say she would bring him to Bedin and say, hey, you didn't pay me. Would we say, go give her the payment? Definitely not. Rather, since even if she'll come to him in Bedin and demand the money, we won't tell him to give it to her. But once he did give it to her, it is considered a payment. Meaning, even though he's not chayav to give it to her because technically they did something much worse and therefore he should die. But if he did give it to her, it's still considered payment, which makes the money pasul. Hachanami said to over here regarding the fig. Even though regarding the payment for the fig, if the guy would say, "Hey, he didn't pay me for the fig or for the animal," we won't tell the thief go pay. For the fig, we won't tell him go pay for it. However, even so, once he does do the transfer for the fig, it's considered a sale. So even though technically it's like a case of the situation. Meaning, if it didn't happen, we can't force him to do it. But once he did do it, the transaction does go through. Okay, a little more. Guy stole the ox and sheep and slaughtered on Yom Kippur. You pay 4 and 5. Gemara says, "Why? Even though there's no death penalty for for doing the Yom Kippur, is only quote unquote only karet. Malkut mi'aika, there is malkut. And we know that a person does not get malkut and pay money. You have to. It's a machoket whether or not you do both, but definitely whether or not which one it is, but definitely don't do both. Mrs. Amri Hamani, who's according to the mayor, Amar Lokem, according to the mayor, who holds you do both. Either mayor, I feel Tavach Shabbat. So if that's the case, even according to the mayor, where you slaughtered the animal on Shabbat, you should also pay 4 or 5 because you're doing 2 different isurim. You should pay both. Maybe you might think that the mayor only holds you do malkut and payments for the same crime. However, he won't agree to payment and death. But we see that's not true. But then we write out. Someone stole and slaughtered on Shabbat. Was there, we did it before someone stole the ox that was supposed to be stoned and slaughtered it. You still pay 4 or 5. Did a mayor holds. So you see the mayor holds, even in a case where you're chayav mitah, like an avodah zarah or Shabbat, you can pay and be chayav mitah. Mar says, Amri, bar mineh dahi. Leave that right out of it. Don't bring that proof. The ha'it marla, because we said it over there. Amar Rabbi Yaakov, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amri La. Some people say Amar Rabbi Yom, Amar Rabbi Shmuel Lakish, Rabbi Avin, Rabbi Eliyahu, B'chol Avrotem Meshmed Rabbi Yochanan. Amri. All the rabbi said, Betoveach al yedei acher. That case is referring to as a shliach, that was slaughtering it, and therefore you'd be there was no kimne b'drab mina because he wasn't actually slaughtering it. This is the word says Marava. Sorry. What does that mean? That the shliach sinned by slaughtering the animal, and then the thief has to pay 4 or 5. How does that make sense? Since when is there shliach to make me chayav more? I tell the guy, slaughter it on Shabbat. The guy slaughters it. Now I'm the thief that's chayav 4 or 5. How does that work? Gemara says, Marava shani hachav. Well, it's different. Even though technically, yes, you should not be chayav by through a shliach and shliach tvar avera. Over here, it's Amar Kra utvacho o mecharo. Just like you could sell through someone else, you're a buyer. You could even be chayav for slaughtering through someone else through a shliach.